and good morning, friends. Today, I want to talk to you. What are the 3 most common ways that you know that your drain field is no longer working and possibly failed? Let's get into it. So, I get this question a lot, right? How long do drain fields last? How do I know when they fail? What is it like, right? So, drain fields generally in our area are designed to last between 30 and 40 years. It really all depends on how well you take care of the system. The more that you pump out the tank, the better you take care of it. If you're not putting groundwater on top of it, you're more likely to have it last longer, right? But generally, it'll end up being about 30 or 40 years. I would say in practice, you'll also see that a lot of these systems will last up to 50 or 60 years with good maintenance. So, failures, that's why you're here. When a drain field starts to fail, what's going to cause that to happen is called biomat. Basically, it's this really tar-like looking substance, it's poo, essentially, that works its way into the drain field and then can potentially cause it to back up. So what happens is, as the water goes into the drain field, it's a perforated pipe and stone, the water should be able to escape out of the perforated pipe and into the surrounding soil. The issue is that if you have too much biomat in that trench, it basically is going to make that trench start to hold water. Now, on a conventional gravity-fed system, the front of the trench is going to get used first, then the middle, and then the back. And eventually, the whole system will get oversaturated, and it's got nowhere else to go but back into the septic tank, right? So, when it comes to failure, drain fields fail in some weird ways. Everybody always seems to think, though, when a drain field fails, that you're going to have surfacing sewage in your backyard, kind of like a Meet the Fockers kind of moment, right? Not super common. You're more likely to have a backup in the trench or in the tank before you're able to have it surface. I know that every county is a little bit different, every state's a little bit different, right? So your specific area might be more prevalent to surfacing sewage. However, in Maryland, with the depths of all these systems, it's not as common, right? It does happen, but it's far fewer and far between when that does happen. So, drain field failures. Over time, generally, what you'll notice is if you're running a camera through the drain field line, you'll see that the whole pipe is completely underwater. If the entire drain field pipe is underwater, you're done, right? But that's only if you're running a camera. So how do you know as a homeowner? So when you get the tank pumped out, right, you should be getting your tank pumped every 2 to 5 years. You're gonna have your guy pump it out, right? Well, a good pumper should be listening to hear if water's coming back into the tank after they start pumping it out, right? So if you pump down your tank and water's still coming in, the only place that could be coming from would be the drain field. It is possible that you could have a leaking toilet or something in the house, but when you're pumping, either the access is going to be on the front or in the middle, and hopefully they're smart enough to realize, oh, hey, that's coming from the house, not the drain fields. So when you're pumping the tank, the pumper will notice if the water's coming back into the tank. At which point, a good pumper should reach out to the homeowner and say, hey, you've got water coming back to the tank, something's going on, we should investigate a little bit further, and then they're able to tell you, like, hey, your drain field failed, or you got a clog, or whatever. But for this argument, we have our drain field, right? Completely underwater. If you ignore it long enough, the water will start to come back to the tank, and then the tank itself will back up, right? Generally, how you'll notice that you have a backup in the tank is the water level will be touching the inlet, right? The water level should always be below the inlet line by about 2 to 3 inches. Okay, from time to time, you might have a tank that's not leveled correctly, and it might just touch just a little bit. That's okay to an extent. Now, once that water starts rising to like 20%, 30%, anything above that, now you have a backup, right? Now you got a problem. So if the drain field's full of water, you're actively living in the house, the water level in the tank will also rise, at which point toilet paper and other debris and particulates will get stuck in the clean out or the riser. So when your tank gets pumped by the pumper, he's going to notice, hey, there's a lot of toilet paper in here that shouldn't be in there. We should investigate a little bit further. If you ignore both of these symptoms long enough, right? Let's just say you go 10 years without pumping the tank. Nobody looks inside the tank to see where the water level's at. Now you start to run the risk of having the water back up and surface into the yard. Generally in our area, you'll notice that you'll have surfacing when you have a pressurized system. Most conventional gravity-fed systems in our area, it's not as common, right? It does happen, but it's not super common. That's why back in the day, they used to do these things called dye tests, right? Basically what they would do is they would take dye and they would put it into a toilet and they would run that toilet, and Walk in the yard and see, do we see any dye in the backyard? Is it backing up? Is it surfacing? The state no longer lets dye tests be conducted for inspections because it doesn't work, right? I've been doing this for quite a while. I have had one house. I've been to over 4,000 houses. I've had a house with the surfacing sewage that the dye actually turned green, right? A majority of the time, dye is used to trace where the water's going, right? So like, let's just say, for example, I don't know where this one bathroom fixture or this other sink in the house goes to confirm that it connects to the septic. You put dye in the water, turn it green. If green water is reaching the tank, boom, there you go. Now you know it's connected. If you think that the sewage is discharging into a creek, you turn the water in the septic tank another color, green, orange, purple, whatever you want. If the river turns green, guess what? You've got sewage going into the river. So there's a couple different ways that you can use dye. However, it's not a good inspection tool. So if somebody says we're gonna do a dye test to inspect your septic, they're full of it, don't use it. It's a waste of time and money, right? So we have our most common issue is the drain field will be full, right? Most homeowners won't be able to see that unless you have a camera or some kind of access point in order to visually see what's going on. The second most common way that you'll know that your drain field failed is when you go to pump your tank, water comes back, or if you see that there's toilet paper and stuff inside of the tank. Generally, if you have surfacing sewage, you'll have like a marshy area, right? So let's just say that it's the middle of August, it hasn't rained in 4 weeks, right? Crazy summer stuff, but let's just say it's not rained for a while. If you go out in your yard and you see these 2 or 3 really dark patches of grass and it's all wet and mushy, it's probably your drain field, right? I hope this was useful. If you found this entertaining, please hit that like button, subscribe. Let me know below. Have you ever had to deal with a backup in the septic system? Have you ever had to deal with anything not flowing correctly? Have you ever had to replace your septic system, right? It can be expensive. That's why I always recommend get your tank pumped regularly, have somebody who knows what they're looking at your tank regularly, so that way if you do have a problem, you can get ahead of it before it becomes a big problem, right? Septic systems fail slowly. They're small, minor maintenance items that you have to do. Usually it's fairly inexpensive. However, if you ignore it for long enough, it can get very expensive very quickly. So this is your reminder, pump your tank, get it looked at, right? Make sure you keep on top of your home maintenance. You don't want to have to pay that bill for something that you shouldn't need to be paying, right? I have videos posted every day on the world of well and septic. Tell me below, what kind of content are you interested in? What kind of areas of discussion do you want me to talk about? If you like the content, hit that button though. You know what I'm talking about. Hit that like button and subscribe. Till next time, guys.